Hi everyone, you're really lucky you're getting another vlog so soon after like loads of time without any vlogs, but it's just the way that dates have fallen. So obviously last week was Mental Health Awareness Week. This week is actually the 10-year anniversary of my MS diagnosis. And so I thought I'd do a vlog because, well, I've never done a vlog on the sort of the anniversary of my MS diagnosis. And this year's obviously it's a bit of a big one. I thought there was an ant crawling on me. This year's a bit of a big one because it's 10 years, and it was really funny actually because up until about, I'd probably say 8 years ago, up until about 2 years ago, so 8 years after I was diagnosed, every year I remembered this date. But recently, today, the only reason why I remembered was actually Facebook reminded me. And I think that's because up until a few years ago, my MS I saw it as something separate. Whereas now, MS is very much, I've taken, I don't want to say taken control of it, because you can't take control of MS really, because it's unpredictable. You don't know when your next relapse is going to be, etc, etc. But it's become a part of me. I kind of feel like, it's an intrinsic part of my being now, rather than me seeing it as here's Trishna and here's MS and they do things kind of together. But it's become an intrinsic part of me, and I don't think of it as something. I don't think of it as something separate, which I think is one of the reasons why, even though it's a big anniversary, like I said, I hadn't even remembered. So I wanted to I was thinking about this time 10 years ago and how I was feeling, what I was doing. It was actually very much a day like this. It was really sunny. I'd taken some time off work because I had to go to see my neurologist. I went with my mum and dad, and I remember going into the neurologist's office with trepidation, thinking, well, so we knew that MS could be on the cards. I already knew that. So I kind of went in thinking, so either I'm going to get some news which I know is going to change my life, or he's going to say, no, we still don't know what's wrong and we've got to do more investigation. And actually, I don't know which one I wanted. That's a spider. I don't know which one I wanted more, if that makes sense, because obviously I wanted to know what was happening. I wanted to know what was wrong. And when he told me MS, I remember two things. First of all, asking him whether that would stop me from playing hockey, because at that time I was still playing hockey. I was, training twice a week. I was playing sometimes 2 matches in a weekend. It was a huge part of my life. And he said no, I could carry on playing hockey. So I was just really happy. And then I remember talking about the medications that were then available to me. And at that time, there was only about 5 licensed medications for relapsing MS, only 4 of which I was eligible for, because I wasn't eligible for Tysabri, because there's quite strict criteria for Tysabri. I'm keeping an eye on a spider which is sitting on my rug. And now, 10 years later, there's about 13 or 14 licensed disease-modifying therapies for MS, for relapsing MS, and there's even some coming through the pipeline, hopefully for primary progressive and progressive MS. So just in those 10 years, the landscape has changed enormously. And so I was given the diagnosis, and then actually I felt a sense of relief, because I thought, okay, I know what it is now. I've got some kind of an action plan. I can start doing something about it. And if I'm to be honest with you, I didn't really know the implications of the diagnosis that was being given to me. I knew a little bit about MS because my cousin had been diagnosed the year before, but I didn't actually know a huge amount. So I left the hospital with my mum and dad, and I think my mum and dad, I actually think they found it harder to take in the diagnosis than I did. Because for me, it was a bit of a sense of relief, because like I said, at least I knew what it was. With my mum and dad, for them, it was a shock, and and they were worried because, they had, as a parent, you want to be able to protect your child, you want to be able to help them, and they felt, well, what's the future going to hold? So I got into the car, and the first person that I called was my twin sister. That was after stopping at the petrol station I still remember it, I got a Magnum Classic, because I felt like I'd had this piece of news, and so I deserved an ice cream. And then I called my sister and let her know. And yeah, again, I can't actually remember the conversation. I think I said, yes, it is MS, and yes, we've got an action plan. And she said, okay, well, at least we've got an action plan, and we'll move forward from there. And then I don't even remember actually how I told my younger sister, whether I called her or whether I texted her, because I think she would have been at work at the time. And then I got home, and yeah, over the next sort of few months, things started to really sink in when I started to have to make decisions about medication and stuff like that. So I think about what I knew then, what I know now, what my life was like then, what it's like now, and in certain ways it's completely different. In other ways, it's still the same. Very much, the support network, my family have obviously been absolutely, they're key to being able to do the things that I do, and they have been key all along. But also we need, it has been difficult. We've had to readjust as a family. The relationships have changed. There have been times when, I was 28 when I was diagnosed. I'm 38 now. And particularly, when I started medications, when I was relapsing, and my mum and my dad and my younger sister were having to look after me. Spider on me! Ah! That was a really serious point in the vlog, and then it's been completely ruined by a spider crawling on me. So you have to excuse the fact that I'm wearing a sports top. I'm going to Zumba later. And actually that's something that's changed. So when I was diagnosed, like I said, I was playing lots of hockey. I carried on playing hockey. I had to give up about 2 or 3 years ago because it was becoming too much for me, and I now do Zumba instead. But those support networks have been so important. So my hockey girls, you know who you are. You were such a huge support to me in those early years, and sometimes, and I want to take this chance to just say thank you, because I know that I have done, but sometimes I don't think you've necessarily realised just how much support you were to me. The fact that I could still carry on doing what I would love to do, and I remember there were times, so I had the MS hug, that was one of my symptoms. And that was about, probably about 2 years after I was diagnosed. I remember coming off the hockey pitch in absolute tears because I was in so much pain. And I've always been, even when I've been injured, I've had some really awful hockey injuries, and, I never cried because I'm tough. And, hockey girls are tough. But I remember when I had the MS hug, I'm being plagued by these spiders. This is really annoying. When I had the MS hug, I actually came off the hockey pitch in absolute tears because I was in so much pain, and my hockey girls were there to pick me up, so dust me off, help me, And now that I'm not playing hockey, it's the Zumba girls, the Zumba community who are doing that. And again, sometimes you may not realize you are, but you know, there are times when I'm having bad days, and you know, you lift me up, and you know, you cheer me up, and you know, especially all of you guys down at Sportsable, well, and especially all of you you guys who are in the class which, you know, my sister teaches, and it's an inclusive class. We have people there with wheelchairs, we've got people there with various disabilities, various conditions, etc. In particular, I mean, it's just, oh, it's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, family, like I said, I mean, relationships have changed. It has been hard. It's been, you know, there's been a strain, there's been a pressure on the family, because there will be when somebody is diagnosed with a chronic condition, and you know, you're not always feeling your best, and you can't necessarily do all the things that you want to be able to do for the family. But you know, I wouldn't be able to do all the things that I do without my mum and dad, without my sisters, and also then my friends. And I'm not going to mention any names. You know who you are. You know, some of the best friends that I've ever had, the people that I know I can rely on no matter what, the people that I can just call up and I know you're going to be there. So yeah, you know who you are. And then also reflecting on what my life is like now. So MS is essentially my life. I've made MS my life. I didn't set out to do that, but it's become that. And actually, I love that it's become that, because my MS has actually enabled me to become the person that I wanted to be. I'm giving back. I'm helping to affect change in the healthcare industry. I'm helping to affect change, positive change for patients. And I do it because I love it, and I'm the kind of person that if I think change needs to happen, then I will get out and I'll do something about it. And as a result, I've had the chance to experience some amazing things. As I said, it was not that I set out to experience these amazing things. They just happened as a result of some of the things that I was doing. So, you know, going to talk at 10 Downing Street, doing Strictly, I mean, just wow. You know, I've travelled extensively with my patient advocacy work. I've spoken in Parliament. I've met some amazing people, you know, from, you know, Paralympians to people who, you know, do crazy things like going abseiling in their wheelchairs, and, you know, zip lining and stuff. You know who you are, Stuart Nixon. And, you know, the people I've met through my charity work, and again, who are just amazingly supportive. None of those people would be in my life if it wasn't for the fact that I was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago. And, you know, I'm actually quite grateful for that, because they've enriched my life so much. And I feel like, you know, I feel like it's given me my purpose in life. And I know that sounds really cliched, but that's how it is. That's how I feel. I know that everybody deals with their diagnosis differently. You know, 3 years after I was diagnosed, my twin sister was diagnosed with MS, and you know, she's done things in a different way to the way that I've done things. There's no right or wrong way of dealing with an MS diagnosis. Some people do make it, you know, their life. Some people want to just carry on and forget it's there. Some people know it's there, but they just they don't want it to become a huge part of their life. But I think the thing is that, and this is what I love about the MS community, and also just generally patient communities, because, you know, through my advocacy work, I've met lots of other patient communities as well, is that we're all unique. And this is what I love. There is no right or wrong. We can all deal with things the way that, you know, the way that we feel is the most appropriate to deal with them. And as long as we're getting the support that we need, and we feel that we're able to ask for that support, I think that's the most important thing. Just one last sort of shout out, and I have to say this. So my current healthcare team are amazing. Again, you know who you are. They have helped me to gain the confidence to be able to speak about MS with authority. They've helped me to learn more about the condition. They've given me opportunities to be able to increase my level of confidence and skills to be able to do all the patient advocacy work that I do. And they are trailblazing. They, the stuff that they do is just amazing. So I've got to give a shout out to them. And then last but not least, a shout out to all of you guys, all of you who listen to my vlogs. I don't know how many of you just switch off halfway through. Well, you're not even halfway through, after about 5 minutes, and you're like, oh gosh, here she goes again. All of you who follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, who, if you've subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you haven't, you need to subscribe, on Twitter. I know most of you started following my journey during the People Strictly, and where I, even just in those sort of 3 years since the People Strictly, my journey has just been, it's been crazy. And I know that there's a lot of you who were following what I was doing, way before then, before, Strictly happened and things obviously became a lot more public. But each and every one of you, I read all your comments, I look at all the likes and everything. I try, and if you send me a message, many of you have sent me messages, private messages, you'll know that I try and reply as much as I can. And it's because I really appreciate the fact that you're there and that you're helping me through this journey, that we can support each other. And hopefully, as a result, we will just make things much better for MS, for people with MS, people with chronic illness, people with disability. And yeah, I think that's really what I would hope, that on this 10-year anniversary of my diagnosis, that where we were when I was diagnosed and where we are now, it's been a huge improvement, both personally and generally. And yeah, just a final thank you. And this has become a really long vlog, so I'm hoping there's some of you still listening. So if you are, please comment, like, share, and like I said, do subscribe, do follow Twitter, Instagram, it's at Trishna Baradia. Facebook, it's facebook.com/Trishna Baradia 2015, and YouTube, just type my name, Trishna Baradia, into YouTube. You will find my channel, and then you need to hit the subscribe button.